Some say the night shift is peaceful, but they've never worked the graveyard hours in a hospital. When the world sleeps, the shadows wake up. Tonight, I'll share 3 terrifying true stories from night shift workers who saw what we were never meant to see. Stay with me, if you dare. Tonight, we delve into the shadowy corners of forgotten places, where echoes of the past linger. Our first story comes from Jenna, a tale that chills the bone and reminds us that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. Jenna was a dedicated nurse at an old, imposing hospital, a place steeped in history and whispered rumors. The hospital had a sealed-off East Wing, a section shrouded in mystery and off-limits to everyone. It was a place where time seemed to stand still. Staff whispered that the East Wing was haunted, that restless spirits roamed its corridors, forever trapped within its walls. But Jenna, a pragmatic and level-headed woman, dismissed the stories as mere superstition, tales spun to frighten the newcomers. That is, until she began to hear faint, unsettling whispers emanating from behind the locked doors of the East Wing. Each night, as the hospital grew quiet and the shadows deepened, the voices grew louder, clearer, more insistent. They were no longer just whispers, but desperate pleas, growing more insistent with each passing night. One night, the chilling curiosity, fueled by the increasingly desperate whispers, overcame her fear and her skepticism. Driven by an impulse she couldn't explain, she searched until she found a master key, one that could unlock any door in the hospital. With trembling hands, she made her way to the East Wing and entered the long abandoned section of the hospital. The air inside was icy, a stark contrast to the warmth of the rest of the hospital. The darkness was thick, almost palpable, pressing in on her from all sides. As she ventured deeper, the whispers echoed down the long, desolate hallway, guiding her forward. The whispers seemed to be coming from one specific place, leading her inexorably to room 304. As she stood before the door, a woman's voice repeated, faint but clear, "Help me, please, help me. It's so cold." Jenna's heart pounded in her chest, a frantic drum against her ribs. Summoning every ounce of courage she possessed, she slowly opened the door. The room was empty, save for a thick layer of dust and the oppressive feeling of being watched. But then, she saw it. "Help me," scratched into the wall in what looked like desperate, frantic strokes. Suddenly, with a deafening crash, the door slammed shut, plunging her into absolute darkness. Silence swallowed her whole, a heavy, suffocating blanket. She screamed, trapped and terrified, her voice echoing in the confined space. She pounded on the door with all her might, desperate to escape the chilling darkness. After what felt like an eternity, an endless nightmare of fear and isolation, the door creaked open slowly, mysteriously, as if beckoning her to leave. Jenna fled the room, her heart racing, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She didn't hesitate, locking the wing behind her, sealing it off from the rest of the world. She vowed to herself that she would never, ever return to that hallway, to that room, to those whispers. Some doors, she learned, are closed for a reason, their secrets best left undisturbed. And some whispers, especially those from the shadows, aren't meant to be heard, for they carry a darkness that can consume you. Dr. Mark Harris, a resident, dedicated to his profession, often found himself working the grueling night shift. One particularly long night, he needed to retrieve some crucial files from the hospital's basement archives. The basement, a place most avoided, especially after dark. He decided to take the old service elevator, a rattling, groaning machine that seemed to have a life of its own. He pressed the button for B2, the basement level, and waited with a growing sense of unease. The elevator slowly descended, passing B1 with a shudder. But instead of stopping, it kept going, descending deeper and deeper into the earth. Suddenly, the floor indicator flickered violently, then went completely dark, plunging the elevator into near darkness. With a drawn-out screech, the doors slowly began to open. He found himself staring into a cold, unfinished space, a stark contrast to the organized archives he expected. This was nothing like the archives. It was a desolate, forgotten corner of the hospital. Deep in the shadows, lurking just beyond the dim light, he saw tall, faceless figures standing motionless in the distance. Their forms seemed unstable, constantly shifting and swirling like smoke in the air. With unnerving slowness, they began to glide toward him, closing the distance. Their movement was silent, eerie, and utterly unnatural, defying any logical explanation. A wave of pure, unadulterated panic surged through him. He frantically jabbed at the door close button, his heart pounding in his chest. After what felt like an eternity, the doors finally began to shut, sealing him inside. The elevator lurched violently, then shot upwards with terrifying speed, rocketing back to the lobby. Dr. Harris stumbled out into the brightly lit lobby, completely shaken and disoriented. He never spoke a word to anyone about what he had seen in the depths of the hospital, forever haunted by the experience. From that night on, he always took the stairs, no matter how many flights he had to climb, avoiding the elevator at all costs. Some rides take you places, to realms and realities you were never meant to go, places best left undisturbed and forgotten. And sometimes, in the deepest, darkest corners of the basement, you discover that it isn't empty after all. Sarah, a bright-eyed and new nursing assistant, had just started her rounds in the palliative care unit. It was a demanding job, both physically and emotionally, but she was determined to provide comfort to those nearing the end of their journey. But there was one room that seemed to cast a shadow over the entire unit, especially room 408. It was the room where Eleanor, a long-term patient, had passed away alone just weeks before. The other staff members whispered stories, saying no one ever stayed in that room for long after Eleanor's passing. They felt watched whenever they entered. Some even claimed to have heard faint whispers echoing from within its walls. Sarah, ever the practical one, dismissed the stories as mere superstition and stress-induced paranoia. But one night, she was assigned to clean room 408, and her skepticism began to waver. The air inside was noticeably colder than the rest of the unit, and the silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. As she worked diligently, trying to ignore the unsettling atmosphere, she suddenly felt an icy touch, like a cold hand, brush against the back of her neck. Startled, she spun around, her heart pounding in her chest, but there was no one there. Trying to shake off the feeling and finish quickly, she started the floor polisher, hoping the noise would dispel the eerie silence. But as soon as she switched it on, the machine sputtered and died, plunging the room back into an oppressive silence. Then, a chilling, raspy whisper seemed to slither from the shadows. "I never left." In the dim light, Sarah's eyes struggled to focus, and she thought she saw a faint, translucent figure in the corner, sitting hunched over in the old, worn patient's chair. Overcome with terror, she bolted from the room, never returning to the hospital, forever haunted by what she experienced that night. Some patients, it seems, are simply unable to leave this world behind, forever bound to the place of their suffering. The shift ends, but for Jenna, Dr. Harris, and Sarah, the darkness followed them home. Their stories remind us that some places hold on to the past with a terrifying grip. These aren't just campfire tales, they're lived experiences. What other stories are trapped within hospital walls? Some stories follow you, some never leave. If you've worked a night shift, what's the scariest thing you've seen? Share in the comments. And remember, on the next Killer Saturday I'll be waiting for you, or maybe you'll see me first.